No phone calls, no messages, nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore, a professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here at AM 830 WCRN. Let's take care of some housekeeping. You can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Our text line is running 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. You can text that like you do anybody. It's going to appear right here on the screen in the studio in real time, and we'll try to work it into the conversation. Of course, the station does stream 24/7 the TuneIn app. If you don't have it, seconds to download it. Punch in WCRN. You're going to see this really cool logo of ours. Do me a favor, hit the like button. We know you're there, and then we're easy to find. And I love that feature, folks, because it means you can literally take us anywhere with your device, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, even your tower at home, or tell Alexa, play WCRN. No questions asked. She'll do that. She's good that way. Now, I am streaming it to the station's Facebook page and the YouTube channel. That's right. And also to my social media for the show. That's Joe Mangi Show, Mangi. And you know the drill there. Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, X, Facebook, and of course, Rumble. Many ways to watch, many ways to listen. And we're going to be joined by Lisa Mair, who is a candidate here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And you probably best know her as a co-host of Health Freedom Radio, Tuesday mornings from 9 to 10 right here on Radio Central, AM 830 WCRN. But I have to address something before I get into that. So bear with me and allow me this diversion for a moment. But if you're one of those folks that's scratching your head and wondering why America and Israel are finally hitting back hard at Iran, well, hold up here, guys. We're about to educate you on some of why this isn't some random escalation. See, this is a long overdue, justice in slow motion war that has been raging since 1979. And if you're confused, haven't been paying attention, or worse, you're trapped in that leftist bubble where history gets rewritten faster than the Democratic talking point. And let's start with the body count. Good place to start, shall we? Since the Islamic Revolution in 1979, Iran and its terrorist puppets have killed over 1,000 American soldiers, airmen, sailors, and Marines. Yeah, you heard that right. More than 1,000 of our brave men and women in uniform slaughtered by a regime that chants death to America like it's their national anthem. We're talking about proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon, who bombed our Marine barracks in Beirut back in 1983, killing 241 U.S. service members in one go. Then there's Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, firing missiles at our ships, Kataib Hezbollah, Asha'ib Hala'uk in Iraq. Those Shiite militias who supplied the explosively formed penetrators that tore through our troops in Iraq, accounting for at least 603 American deaths between 2003 and 2011 alone. Add the Hakarat al-Nubahi, the popular mobilization forces, and other Iranian-backed thugs in Syria and beyond. These aren't freedom fighters. They're Tehran's hit squad, armed, trained, and funded to do the dirty work. And acts of war? Well, where do I even begin? For instance, you know, that 1979 takeover of our embassy in Tehran, storming sovereign U.S. soil, holding 52 Americans hostages for 444 days. That was an act of war, plain and simple. Then in 1983, suicide bombing at our Beirut embassy, 63 dead, including 17 Americans. Same year, the barracks bombing. 1984, kidnapping and torturing CIA Station Chief William Buckley to death. Another bombing at our embassy annex in Beirut, killing 2 more service members. 1996, Khobar Towers in Saudi Arabia. 19 U.S. airmen blown to bits by Hezbollah with Iranian backing. Fast forward to the 2000s, supplying IEDs and EFPs to kill our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. 2011, plotting to assassinate the Saudi ambassador right here on U.S. soil in a D.C. restaurant. There were also assassination attempts on Donald Trump and various ambassadors of ours. Attacking our ships in the Persian Gulf during the Tankers War. Downing drones, launching missiles at our bases, like in 2020. When they hit Al-Sayad and gave over 100 troops traumatic brain injuries. And don't forget the proxy drone strikes, like the one in Jordan in 2024 that killed 3 of our soldiers. Iran has been at war with us in their twisted minds since the Ayatollahs seized power in that barbaric uprising. They've declared it, they've acted on it, and we've had every right to respond since day one. Now, here we are in 2026, and Israel and the U.S. are finally doing something about it. On February 28th, we launched Operation Epic Fury. I know some of the left even have a problem with the name Epic Fury. Get over it. Surprise airstrikes hammering Iran's nuclear sites, missile launchers, air defenses, IRGC bases, and even taking out Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei himself in a decapitation strike. Israel's calling it Operation Roaring Lion. And together we've hit hundreds of targets, actually thousands of targets, across western and central Iran, from Tehran to underground bunkers. As of March 10th, we've lost 7 U.S. service members in the fighting. God rest their souls. Thank you for your service. You've paid the ultimate price. But Iran's taken over 1,200 casualties. Their military is in tatters, and their regime's crumbling. This isn't a war in the declared sense. We haven't formally declared one since 1942 against Romania in World War II. No, this is a military operation, a preemptive strike, an incursion to neutralize a threat. Call it a targeted campaign, kinetic action, or even a regime change enforcement, whatever you label it, or whatever you slap on it for a name. It's not boots on the ground forever war. It's smart, surgical, and quite necessary. But, oh, the hand wringers, right? Why are we doing this? How long will it take? Gas prices are up. Are you kidding me? If you're one of those idiots whining about a temporary spike at the pump, maybe 20, 30 cents a gallon, while we eliminate a nuclear-armed fanatic regime, let me ask you this. Where were you in Biden's Green New Deal idiocy jacked prices sky high? With his war on fossil fuels, gas has already started dropping again as markets stabilize. Not willing to pay a little extra to wipe out the mullahs? That's pathetic. And no proof that they had nukes, please. The country that opens Parliament with death to America chants, that has enriched uranium weapons grade levels, that's built secret facilities. We've had intel for years. This is a regime that lies, cheats, and hides. We should have dealt with them in 1979, but weak-kneed presidents kick the can, and Trump is stepping on the can. Look, Reagan talked tough, but he pulled out of Lebanon after Beirut. Bush Sr. left Saddam in power, setting the stage. Clinton, more talk. Bush Jr. invaded Iraq, but let them arm the insurgents. Obama, feckless, doesn't even cover it. He signed that disastrous JCPOA deal, lifting sanctions and unfreezing Iran's assets. Estimated, that was what, 50 to 100 billion in unusable funds that flowed right back to terrorism. And the cash, oh yeah, don't forget the 1.7 billion settlement for old arms deals. That was that was $400 million in principal stacked on pallets, flown in unmarked planes in Swiss francs and euros in the dead of night, plus another $1.3 billion of the interest and more on top of the 400 via the Judgment Fund. Coincidentally timed with prisoner releases, like we were paying ransom to the world's top terror sponsor. Biden, more appeasement, easing sanctions while Iran proxies attacked our troops over 170 times. Only Trump took real action. Killing Soleimani in 2020. Maximum pressure sanctions that crippled their economy. And now, back in office, he's finishing the job. These aren't statesmen in Tehran. They're religious fanatics, dreaming of 72 virgins in paradise, imposing their medieval Sharia on the world. Now, let's be clear. There are millions of peaceful, decent Muslims who follow Islam as a faith, good people, family-oriented, contributing to society. But Islam itself, the Quran is riddled with contradictions, calls for jihad, and justifications for violence. Muslim means follower of Islam. Islam refers to things tied to the religion. The distinction? Peaceful Muslims interpret it mildly, but radicals, the Islamists, take it literally, believing they can lie to infidels while plotting conquest. That's taqiyya. They can do taqiyya. They can lie to your face, shake your hand, all doing their plan and plotting to take over the world. They won't honor any deal. They'll smile and they'll take the cash and build nukes anyway. That's just the way it works. And those radicals, they're here. Biden's open border fiasco led it in unfettered terrorists, sleeping cells from Hezbollah, Hamas, and even domestic radicals, inspired by the Quran's darker verses, all along with drugs and weapons, folks. We've got cells waiting to activate. If you can't figure out why we're striking now after decades of attacks, nukes on the brink, proxies encircling Israel, you're not confused. You're willfully blind, echoing democratic nonsense about diplomacy with barbarians. So laugh at the complainers, folks. This action saves lives long term. We're not at war. We're ending one Iran started a long time ago. So stay tuned with us, folks. We've got a lot to talk about. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. 508-871-7000. Lisa Mair in studio on the other side of the break. We'll be back in 2 minutes and 10 seconds, folks. Yeah.
Polar Park is the place to play. It's still the best ballpark in AAA. Unibank fireworks every Friday. Sunset catches every Saturday. And kids run the bases every Sunday. Visit WooSox.com or call 508-500-8888 and get your tickets today. Polar Park is the place to play. It's still the best ballpark in AAA.
Don't miss the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast airing on this station as Pastor Ray McMahon shares truths from the gospel on the subject of divorce and remarriage. During each broadcast, this often controversial subject is discussed in a clear and concise manner. Discover biblical truths on the unbreakable covenant of marriage. Listen to the Jesus is Our Shepherd broadcast
Every Sunday at noon on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central.
If you're as passionate about healthy eating as I am, you'll love New Kitchen. New Kitchen is a culinary gem for health-conscious food enthusiasts. They are committed to using the freshest ingredients from start to finish. Their ethically sourced organic coffee not only satisfies your taste buds, but also supports sustainability. Because New Kitchen uses fresh, local produce, there is nature's goodness in every bite. New Kitchen's refreshing cold-pressed juices, smoothies, and acai bowls are packed with vitamins and nutrients to keep you at your best. These aren't just drinks, they're a rejuvenating experience. Find New Kitchen at 3 convenient locations in Worcester, Somerville, and Newburyport. Visit their website at thenewkitchen.com to explore their menu and place your order online. That's spelled N-U, not N-E-W. New Kitchen, where the passion for health meets the art of cuisine. Eat clean, drink naked.
I don't know what's All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back to the second segment of the Thursday afternoon edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Radio Central, AM 830, WCRN. As I said, you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000 for the remainder of the time we have together. And you can also text us at 617-297-8388. But let's go to the phones first. Mark, patiently waiting through the break. Hey, Mark, what say you?
Have you ever read up on Islam at all?
I have occasionally. I'm not going to pretend I'm any expert, but yeah, you tend to do that when this is going on in the world.
You know the difference between the Sunni and the Shia?
The Shia and the Sunni, yeah, they're sects of Iran, but go ahead, enlighten us.
Well, I'm not an expert either.
Oh, okay.
Just read books but I had it read at the public library before they all kind of disappeared on the history of Islam.
Yeah.
I don't know where they went to, but they're not there anymore.
Interesting.
So that's just a side note. I think I know you know of once I speak.
Mhm.
Big problem in the public libraries, especially in Massachusetts. These books are just disappearing. Perfectly good books too. They're gone. Excuse me. But anyways, the guys in these imams in Iran, they're all Shia. You know, and the Shia and the Sunni, they don't get along. They haven't gotten along for centuries. As a matter of fact, they kind of like slaughter each other literally on a fairly regular basis. If you look into the history of the two, now they don't like each other. They don't get along. Now, going back to the Shia, who pretty much they rule Iran. They are the imams. They're all Shias. They believe in the 12th imam that's going to come out of a well that he's been in for centuries, and he's going to usher in a worldwide jihad. Okay, with they call him the Mahdi. He's going to be like their Jesus, and he's going to convert the world to Islam. Now, you know who his lieutenant is going to be? This is right in Shia writing. The
Jesus?
Mahdi. You know who it's going to be?
Who?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Which, Jesus existed 700 years before the alleged prophet. Look, they were so wrapped up in these 72 virgins. No one ever told them 72 virgins of what? Humans? They could be 72 male virgins. They could be goats for all I know. Whatever on that, Mark.
Yeah, they could be transitioning jinns. Okay, you know what a jinn is? You know what a jinn is if you read up on Islam. They talk a lot about the jinns.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, getting back to my initial premise, you got to read up on especially Shia Islam. To you and I, it's just, I don't know, a lot of smoke and mirrors nonsense like Catholicism is for a lot of Protestants. I get that. But what I'm saying, the problem is that these imams, they believe this stuff. Like you believe that Jesus' body is actually in the host when the priest gives it to you if you're a Catholic. Well, that would sound absurd to someone who was brought up in another religion. But they believe this stuff, and that's the problem.
Yeah, the thing here, Mark, is that Christians don't think that we have to impose our religion by violence, trickery, and force, right?
Well, you heard of
Mark,
the...
let's keep in this century, because
the
Catholics...
We got a long history of imposing our will.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We don't impose it in the same way as Muslims and Islamics, I should say, extreme Islamics. That's not it. Christians would love to see Christianity spread, and we've spread it. We had missionaries all over the place, and we do it in a very different way. Under there, in the Bible doesn't say you're allowed to use trickery and violence if they don't agree with you. But I thank you for the call. But it's a very different type of spreading of one's religion. I don't think they're comparable. 508-871-7000. Hey, Ken, what say you?
Hello, Joe. How about that cardboard cutout leader that they got in Iran, huh?
Well, hey, we had our version of it for 4 years last term, so.
There you go.
You know, I mean, it was a little more animated because we used an Android with a skin cover on it. But hey, it was kind of the same.
You must have read the Babylon Bee to get that line.
No, it's not hard to come up with. It's kind of writes itself.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the cardboard comparison to Biden, that's exactly what Babylon Bee did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I didn't. But it's really not hard to come up with. I mean, seriously. I mean, look, there are literally like Joe Rogan and some others out there keep pointing to the fact that Joe Biden changed height and earlobes were connected in some pictures and not connected in other pictures. That's genetics. I don't care how old you get, your earlobes don't disconnect from your body when they're born that way. And then the fact that he is much taller than Joe Biden sometimes, and then shorter in other pictures. So you make your own decisions, people. I'm not saying, it's not like body doubles haven't been used for security reasons. But they don't usually put a body double up to make a speech or an appearance at a function. I'm not saying
well,
they
at least
did.
not one that's only two-dimensional. You would think it'd be at least three-dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's no proof of life of this guy, right? I mean, there's rumors that, he's in a coma, he lost a leg, all kinds of things. Why can't they videotape the guy in a bunker with no markings as to identify the location, right? Just don't have a window, because our intelligence can do incredible things. I mean, if they get a picture during the day or at night even, we can determine about where they are on the planet based on where the sun is in the sky and the background. So take a picture against one of those drapes that you have, the green drapes with the funny writing on it. Do one of that. I mean, but there's no proof of life. So who's calling the shots?
Well, somebody in the IRGC, but then you have Ali Larijani is probably calling the shots. But the bottom line is, whoever happens to be the supreme leader now, I think it's the equivalent of a rodent. Maybe a furry dog. Now and then they pop their head above then right back down again.
Yeah.
You pop that head too long.
Yeah. Self-preservation is a strong, powerful motivator. Look, whoever the supreme leader is for now, eventually it's going to be, Marco Rubio is going to be appointed supreme leader for the interim. He's going to get another job. And it will happen. Look, it's useless to appoint somebody that isn't going to be open to being normal and normalizing relations, stop oppressing the people. I don't expect them to snap back to 1973 because, prior to the 79 Islamic takeover, it was a very Western culture. Women were absolutely voting, driving, judges on TV, teaching at universities. For crying out loud, in the 60s, they were the mini skirt capital of the world. And then we messed with the Ayatollah, right? We took someone out, put someone in, took them back out, put someone back in. That prompted the Islamic Revolution and Uprising in 1979, the attack on our embassy, and we are where we are.
Well, maybe that's why this women in Iran are shouting what? Death to Mahabo! Death to Mahabo!
And they're ripping off their hijabs and they're smoking. I mean, we're also witnessing the largest female, power in the history, the modern, well, probably in the world. I mean, I don't know, when can we point to another time where feminism took this kind of a step forward?
I also needed to comment, Joe, on Tuesday's show, which I happened to miss, but I watched the replay, and whoa, let's bring Rich back. Man, he didn't last long with his line about, it's all because of Israel. You knocked that down in about 30 seconds.
Yeah. 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 And my opening monologue just has to do with listening to these people whining and the gas is up and this and get a grip. And this isn't out of anywhere. It's not a Trump power trip. It's a Trump promise for one. But you know what? Every other president for several administrations before Trump promised the same thing and did nothing. Matter of fact, we have a couple POTUSes that emboldened them, financed them, and lifted the sanctions. Look at where they were at the end of Trump 1 term. They were on their knees about to cry uncle, and then Joe Biden, well, he won. I'm air quoting for our viewers. And then he lifts the sanctions and gives them tons of money back. It's just, you got to scratch your head and say, well, what is wrong with these people? How deep are they in the deep state, and what is the benefit? Who is pulling that string? And we can tell. I mean, I don't think Donald Trump is getting pushed around by anybody. And I think the level of attacks, investigations, attempts to bankrupt him, put him in prison, kill his political future, all speaks to the fact that they can't push him around. And he didn't play ball when the guys came to talk to him. Now that you're president, this is what you have to do. Ted, you wanted to jump in on something?
Yeah, an important fact to realize is that in 72, when there was the national revolution in Iran, Aramco's or Americans' holdings in the oil business there were nationalized and literally stolen. So there's a lot of history in that region with regards to the investments the Americans made and the lack of a return.
Yeah. And that's what happened to American oil companies in Venezuela, for that matter, too. Ken, we're coming up against the clock. Final thought there?
Yeah, I think Rich demonstrated they're running out of ammunition, flailing all over the place.
There you go. Thank you, Ken. Appreciate the call. Always do. All right, folks. When we come back on the other side on part 2 or second half of the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show, we'll introduce, because she's already in studio, Lisa Mair, and she's a candidate for a Massachusetts state representative in the 12th district. So we'll get the lowdown on that on the other side of the break. Meanwhile, you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. You can text us at 617-297-8388. And of course, you can listen to us anywhere. Don't forget, I am streaming live from our palatial but not overly ostentatious studios high atop the Carberry Towers in Westboro, Massachusetts. Back in 2 minutes and 15 seconds, folks. Stick with us.
Time now for the forecast from the Boston Independence Group Weather Center. Call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. We've got some showers around, both rain and snow this afternoon as temperatures continue to drop. We're going to be back in the 30s by this evening. Skies will finally clear out overnight tonight, so after about midnight, and I'm not expecting local accumulation even with a couple snowflakes at times this evening. Tomorrow is going to start with a little sunshine. We've got highs in the 40s, and at night we've got the chance for a rain or snow shower coming through again on Friday. I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
More live and local radio is next. Stay tuned to Radio Central 830 WCRN.
Every person is entitled to 30 fundamental human rights, and you only need to do one thing to enjoy all of them. Know them. Get your free human rights booklet today. Go to humanrights.com.
Boston, are you ready for a show that's unique and different? Blind and Beyond Radio Show is the only commercial radio show in the world for the visually impaired and the blind community. We are the bridge between the blind community and the sighted community. This show is sponsored by Carroll Center for the Blind in Newton, Mass. Fun, informative, educational, with trivia prizes every Sunday night. Blind and Beyond radio show every Sunday night, 7 to 9 p.m. on WCRN 8:30 a.m.
WCRN, where the left and the right meet in the middle. Whether you lean left, lean right, or just want to stay informed, WCRN has you covered with diverse voices, lively debates, and thought-provoking discussions. You'll hear it all right here. Radio Central.
All right, folks, welcome back here to the second half of the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. But as promised, let me introduce and welcome into the studio today's guest, Lisa Mair, candidate for the Massachusetts State Representative in the 12th Worcester District, and someone many of our listeners already know well as the co-host of the Health Freedom Radio right here on WCRN, heard every Tuesday live from 9 to 10 a.m. And Health Freedom Radio is a live, uncensored program focused on the health, freedom, and the issues that directly affect your life, your family, and your right to make informed decisions about your own health. Week after week, Lisa has helped lead conversations that challenge the official narrative, question the so-called experts, and give listeners information they're often not getting from the political class, the medical bureaucracy, or even the corporate media. And in many ways, Lisa's journey into politics grew out of exactly that. She came to realize, like many of us, that she, along with the rest of us, was being lied to, manipulated, and gaslighted by people in power who insisted they were following the science while shutting down debate, censoring dissent, and trampling on basic rights. You could say Lisa got red-pilled.
I did.
She saw behind the curtain. She saw government, media, institutional power, closing ranks against the people they're supposed to serve. And instead of staying quiet, she decided to step up and fight back. Lisa currently serves in the Berlin-Boylston Regional School Committee, has a background in business, nutrition, health, and wellness, and research, of course, and is now running to represent Berlin, Boylston, Clinton, Lancaster, Northborough Precinct 4, and Sterling up on Beacon Hill. So today we're going to talk about why she's running, what she believes is broken in Massachusetts government, what health freedom really means, what she's hearing from voters, and why she believes the people of the 12th Worcester District are ready for a fresh voice, real integrity, and someone willing to challenge the establishment. So Lisa Mair, welcome to the Joe Mangiacotti Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Joe.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I usually get a glimpse of you on Tuesday mornings sometimes. Depends on our timing and all that. But I usually do get to listen to you, regardless of whether I get to see you here at the station. And let me ask you, political awakening, I guess, right? How someone working in health, wellness, and community service came to recognize that the public was being misled and that silence was no longer an option for them.
So I have conservative friends who have been talking to me for years about erosion of freedom, erosion of rights, and I kind of thought that they were just exaggerating a little bit. I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand. And because I didn't know a lot about what was happening in the political arena, for most of my life, I was focused on the things that I love, nutrition, health, all of that, right?
And family.
Yep.
You got a husband and children. And
Yep. I have 2 grown kids. I've been married for over 30 years. Yep. So I was living my life, doing my thing. And then during COVID, that's when politics hit, crashed into something that I loved
because
and that
it affected your life.
Right. But it affected my life. But I do know about science. I have a master's degree in food science and nutrition. I read published research almost every day for the work that I do. So when our so-called experts were making claims, that I was like, wait a second, and then I look at what the research actually said. And I said, no, that's not true.
How do they get from here to there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was also somehow got past the censorship bubble and heard from the experts who were dissenting, the real experts, like luminaries up at Stanford, and Oxford and, all of these really high institutions.
Who, in my opinion, have lost a little of their luster. in the last few years.
Well,
Harvard,
yeah.
Columbia. I mean,
They
some
have.
of these universities that we used to think, oh my, how impressive. We're like, wow, that's what they're teaching.
Yeah.
That's the product they're putting out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All right, that wasn't me. I just want to say.
The look on her face.
I did it. I'll take credit. I did it.
Take credit. That's why we put Ted in the glass room.
But just to continue what I was saying, I was listening to the experts and they were getting censored and smeared. And these are people that had so much respect for so many years. And then as soon as they went against what the official narrative was, their careers were decimated. And I said, whoa, what is happening? And I really started paying attention. Like, I almost feel like I have a PhD in COVID now.
Yeah.
In everything COVID.
Well, you'd see these, this is the official line and this is what we're saying. Now, I never understood the 6 foot thing. I questioned it from moment one.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell is that coming from? Why 6 feet? Why not 5.5? Why not 6.25 feet? Like, that's just silly. Of course
Right.
it is.
It is.
And those arrows on the grocery floors, I absolutely refuse. I went the opposite direction out of principle of that. And then the mask, I'm like, I mean, I hate to use this comparison, but that we just heard from Ted can travel through, underwear, jeans, and everything. So you think that this 10-cent mask is going to protect you? If it wasn't surgical grade N95, stop it.
Right. But what really shocks me is, first of all of the experts said, no, masks aren't going to help early on in the pandemic.
Fauci.
And then they just all turned on a dime. And I was like, okay, is there any new research that shows that? I looked at the CDC website and there was a meta-analysis posted right there that is like the top of all, scientific evidence. And it said, no, masks don't work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, what is happening here?
Who
Now
decided
they're
work now?
forcing us to do this, right? Like that was scary for me, that they can do that to us without really top level evidence to prove that it's going to help. It didn't help. It might have even made things worse. But the thing that really bothered me was that everybody just all of a sudden believed that they work when they saw their glasses getting, fogged up.
Yeah.
Like the air is flowing in and out of the edges of the
There's
mask.
big gaps in this. It was
Right.
just, let's agree, it was so silly and stupid. We look back at it now and we go, what the hell is wrong with
No,
this?
but a lot of
Why
people
did
are
we-
still doing it. That's scary to me.
Okay, if you see someone today all alone in their car driving with the mask on or jogging with the mask on, you know exactly what you're dealing with, don't you?
Mhm.
Right? You know who they are, what
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
So you can't penetrate the bubble of stupidity on that. It's
Right.
ironclad.
Like, just don't even waste your time.
But just go back to it. I was watching all this unfold in 2020 and so forth, and I'm saying, okay, here's this guy or this woman, and I'm thinking they have the MD and the PhD and all that behind their name, and then I'm looking at these other people who, as to your, they're luminaries. They're probably more respected prior to this,
Mhm.
and they have the same degrees. They have the same MD and a PhD and all that behind their name, but we're not allowed to listen to them.
Mhm.
So why is that when most of them went to probably better at that
Right.
time? So it's just ridiculous.
And
It was
that's
very
a
silly.
scary thing too, what you just said, that we weren't allowed to listen to them. I mean, being censored is one thing. It's very uncomfortable. I can tell you that because I was censored
Yeah, hello.
during that. Right. I'm sure you were too.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you put anything online, the Biden administration was pressuring the
And we saw
social
the
media
emails now.
companies.
Hey,
right.
when are you going to take this down?
Right.
What's taking so long?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I got censored. I got kicked off Facebook multiple times. I was like, what is happening? So I literally had the government's boot on my face.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But people weren't getting the full story. They didn't trust Americans enough
Right.
with the full facts to make the decision that was best for them and their community.
Absolutely. And let me move quickly just through the show before we get a break here, because your role as the co-host of Health Freedom Radio here on WCRN, part of that live uncensored effort to talk honestly about health issues, medical choice, informed consent, and the importance of giving people real information instead of government-approved talking points. How'd you come to that? Are you and Julie, what was the, because I remember you being guests at the station and stuff like that. So it was kind of was it the next move that you guys could have made? Was that the... the catalyst behind saying let's do this? And I know health mass freedom, is that a mass freedom health?
Health Rights Mass, Health Rights MA.
I know I'd get
right.
there. Okay, yeah, but you got there. But yeah, I know you guys work closely with them. Just really quickly, a little bit about that and what you're hoping to accomplish with the show.
Right. So as we were just talking about, there was so much censorship about all of this. And we talk about, not only COVID, but just a lot of health topics and how it intersects with freedom. So we're about health, we're about rights, and we're about health rights, specifically. And the show was actually Julie's idea. She's an amazing activist. She does so much, and I give her full credit.
She negotiated the deal.
Yep, I give her full credit for that show, and she invited me to be her co-host. And I said, Julie, I'm an introvert. Do you want an introvert on your radio show? She's like, no,
now you're
you'll be
a candidate
awesome.
Again.
I know, and now I'm a candidate. So I'm definitely putting myself out of my comfort zone in all of this. But so we just wanted to get the word out. And I personally wanted to get out there just speaking to the public and public speaking in advance of my next race.
Yeah.
Which is this year.
Yeah. So here you are. You want to change some things on Beacon Hill. When it comes to taxes, education, parental rights, which it comes up in the radio show a lot, right? Small businesses, public health, local control, government accountability, and of course, the constitutional freedoms. So you're a declared candidate. Tell me what the status is. You're a declared candidate, all paperwork filed, signatures
I'm
gathered?
getting my signatures now. Yeah. So
what's
if
your
you
deadline on that?
That's at the end of April-ish, but I really would love to get it done within the next couple of weeks. Just check that off my list, be done, move on, continue to move forward.
Let me ask you, you're running as an independent, correct?
No, I'm running as a Republican.
Oh, you are running as a Republican.
So I did run.
So you don't use dead people or people out of the district, like they're all living and eligible to vote.
They are all living and eligible. Yes. I did get some signatures from some Democrats on my sheet, which apparently will not count. They were alive, at least when they were standing in front of me.
At the time.
At the time.
If they die before Election Day, that's not my issue.
I will feel bad, though.
I'll feel bad, but I'll take the vote.
Yes. So if you're in my district and you'd like to sign my sheets, just reach out through my website, Lisa Mair, MAIR, 4MA.com, and I'll come to you and grab your signatures, and I'd be very happy to meet you.
I did go there. I saw the picture of your beautiful family, your grown kids. You do good work. They're very good-looking kids. Well done.
Thank you.
I made them. That's good. The district, well, we're kind of against the clock. We're going to have to take a break. So let me remind folks that we're in studio, or in studio with me is Lisa Mair, who, yes, you might know her from Health Freedom Radio, but she's in here joining me today on the Joe Mangiacotti Show as a candidate for the 12th Worcester District. We'll be back in 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Stick with us, folks. We'll wrap this up. If you've ever worried about a parent or a loved one eating well, here's a simple solution. Heart to Home Meals delivers great tasting, ready-to-eat frozen meals made with seniors in mind. With over 150 choices, it's easy to find meals that fit different tastes and dietary needs. There's no subscription and no minimum order. And delivery is always free. Heart to Home Meals, a smart, comforting way to make sure good food is always close by. HeartToHomeMeals.com.
This is Jerry Doherty, host of Making Money Last, right here on WCRN. Like all business owners, I'm interested in why people choose to work with Boston Independence Group. So I asked my clients. The most common response, Jerry does not try to be all things to all people. Boston Independence Group is specialized, focused solely on retirement planning. My customers enjoy the difference. We do one thing, and we do it exceptionally well. Help other people live better in retirement. That's it. If you're ready to retire or making plans to retire, we can do for you what we've done for hundreds of other retirees throughout New England. Live better in retirement. Just give me a call. I'll show you how. My toll-free number is 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. And you can visit us on the web at bostonindependencegroup.com. bostonindependencegroup.com.
Hi, I'm Lee Gaudette of the Gaudette Insurance Agency, a third-generation family business based in Whitensville with branch office locations in Grafton, Shrewsbury, Westboro, and Southborough. We are a full-service independent agency offering all aspects of insurance to businesses, families, and individuals. We are in the peace of mind business. Call, click, or come in to see us at any of our locations for a free assessment of your insurance needs. Also, listen to Radio Central, WCRN, every Friday morning at 9:30 for the Gaudette Insurance Show.
All right, folks, welcome back here to fourth and final segment. Wow, Lisa, quick show
Going
here.
by very fast.
508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. Lisa Mair, candidate for the 12th Worcester District. I think we kind of covered what got you into this. I mean, yeah, introvert, never had political ambitions. I think we kind of got the gist as to what has happened and what brought you to this in running. You have the experience of currently you're on the school committee, right?
Yeah.
So that helps you, I'm assuming, with a few things on how to deal with the state government and so forth. But let me move on. Beacon Hill is dominated by one-party rule, and you know this. You're a former Democrat turned Republican. As you said off air, you're in good company. I mean, we got a Kennedy in the Trump cabinet,
right?
You know,
Reagan used to be a Democrat.
Reagan used to be a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard is up there. So we've had Trump. Trump was a Democrat and liberal New Yorker for many years.
Yeah.
But when you start to apply some common sense, I don't know. The bubble is a hard thing to get out of. And if you do, I don't know if you ever go back into it. But Beacon Hill is dominated with this one-party rule. What do you believe that has done to accountability and transparency here in the Commonwealth of Mass?
There are no checks and balances, and our whole government is founded on checks and balances, right? So no one narrative can just move ahead unchecked. And that's what we have happening here in Massachusetts. They are just plowing forward whatever the House Speaker and the Senate President decide, and the governor, I'm sure, they just plow forward.
If she's in state.
Right. Yeah. If she's in the state. So no checks and balances, and they're not honoring the will of the people. For instance,
Beyond not honoring, they throw it back in our face.
Right. The audit that 72% of us voted for, everybody, that is, Democrats want that, Republicans, Independents, everybody wants it, but they will not do it. And they're using our tax money and to fight it, which is just, it's like a slap in the face. It's like an insult on top of injury.
It's a slap in the backhand. I mean, they're doing it twice.
Right.
By not doing it, then they use our tax monies to justify it and fight us on it.
It's an uppercut.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because even for the person, I think, who was kind of like, whatever, well, wait a minute. Why are you fighting this so hard? What would be discovered?
Exactly.
What are you hiding? You know, I mean, when we see legislatures vote in unison to a degree that they never usually do, to not expose that tax money used to hide sexual cases settled. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you wonder what is going on.
Right. And you know, Diana DiZolio, who's our state auditor, who is, she did the ballot question for this 2 years ago. She's been pushing for this for so long. She used to be a representative and a senator, I believe. So
she might have a good idea what she's going to find.
Yeah, she knows that we need to fix things.
Yeah.
And I really respect her for pushing forward with this.
Here's the thing. That is her job that we elected her to do. The people voted on this. And it's what's the mechanism to ignore us? Because I saw the state legislature do this with the licenses for illegals in the Commonwealth. We voted no. And they went ahead and did it anyway.
Yeah.
So we're not really representative government.
No. And wasn't there something with the Second Amendment? A couple years ago as well.
Tons of things with the Second
Amendment. There was a
yeah.
ballot question though,
Yeah.
and then Maura Healey said that she invoked some emergency powers to
preamble.
not.
She put the emergency preamble to get it in faster than it normally would be, and she made the AR-15 illegal overnight. Right, so we went to bed all law-abiding citizens and woke up criminals. Yeah, she messed a lot of things up on that, and as Attorney General and as Governor. But let me ask you, I want to try to move through some stuff.
Well, I just want to make
go ahead.
one little point about
Absolutely.
that because it just shocks me. Where are the No Kings protesters when we actually need them?
They're supporting Greenland Move, the one with the king.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that the stupidity of that stuff is just there. I don't know if the people on the left have no irony sensor, like they have no self-awareness of the stuff that they do. When you see these transgender activists or queer, that's the word that they like to use, and they're defending Palestine, and which is not a country, never was. It was a province at best. It never was, but they'd have no idea that they would be the first people thrown off a building.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're clueless on this stuff.
It's like the news tells them to be upset and they get upset.
Oh, their algorithm.
Yeah, there's their algorithm.
The Chinese own TikTok is what they think is world news.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely, and of course we see the hearing going on now,
Yeah.
about all that. But you've owned and operated a small business here in Massachusetts, and what are the biggest burdens the state puts on employers and entrepreneurs? I can name a few, but I'll let you.
Well, I would say it's taxes and regulations. They just make it impossible.
Yeah.
They make it.
Gavin Newsom's taken that to a new level of ridiculousness. Yeah.
God forbid he ever.
Oh.
Right.
I pray.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see him as the candidate, because I don't think he'd beat a Vance
that's true.
Or Marco Rubio. Little Marco. Remember when he was just Little Marco? And now he's Secretary of State and 9 other jobs. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And so it's very troubling to me that during COVID, so many small businesses got closed. Right. They couldn't afford it anymore.
Businesses too, right?
Right.
The box stores could stay open.
All the box stores stayed open.
Somehow, I guess the virus couldn't navigate those big aisles in Home Depot, but they could get the small family-owned hardware store. Oh my God, it ran rampant in those.
Right. Exactly. Like another nonsensical edict or mandate. Yeah. I mean, and so the small businesses got closed during COVID, and now businesses are also fleeing the state because Massachusetts just doesn't appreciate or respect the immense tax revenue that businesses bring in, and they just want to tax them more and more and more.
But not only the tax that the business brings in, how many employees are there? What about all of the state tax income that's derived from the employees? And those employees, they got to buy or rent a home, and they got to feed their family, and they got to go out to dinner, and they're going to do recreation. And guess what? They got to buy clothing, and they've got to buy toys and sports. In other words, the ripple effect in economy, we say there's at least a 7 ripple effect for every dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And so if a business has 8 employees or 10 employees, which is a conservative number for a small business, that's 7 or 8 income, 7 or 8 state income tax coming in, and you got the excise because they got to drive to work. It's just so much more than just the tax from that business goes away.
Yeah.
And there's states like Florida and Texas and Tennessee and some other states that are just, they're getting these people and these big corporations.
Yeah. Yep. And we're losing them because we're just so unfriendly to businesses. We're unfriendly to young people. They're fleeing the state. So kids, my kids' age, are leaving because it's just too expensive. They can't afford a house. This is like the most expensive state in the whole country.
One of them, man. It really is. And it's like these particular politicians we're referencing can't see the consequences of their actions. They're incapable of thinking beyond the next step or two at best as to what that means. What is that going to bring? How is this going to affect us?
Right. And this is why I just love Ronald Reagan. I just can't learn enough from him and listen to his speeches. Smaller government is just because when have they ever made the right decision?
Well,
so often they make
dangerous
the worst
words.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm
go
here
ahead.
from the government. I'm here to help you. However he put it, what the most 11 dangerous words are in the English language or something to affect them.
The scariest words, yes.
Totally paraphrasing him, but I think we've all heard it at this point.
Yeah.
But what are the biggest concerns that you're hearing when you talk to voters? Because I know you out there, because you'll be at the station and you're running out to some grocery store or some stand out somewhere. And so what are you hearing back when you talk to these voters in Berlin and Boylston, Clinton, Lancaster, Northborough, and Sterling? What's the feedback?
There's a lot. one of the biggest things surrounds money. It surrounds funding. So our state, Massachusetts, is at the bottom of the list in terms of the money that the state sends back as unrestricted aid to local towns and cities, right? That is, and when they do give it back to us, they attach mandates, like the MBTA, which is just so frustrating. So the money is a huge issue. And I have experienced that now for several years being on the school committee. It's like a civil war in our town. I mean, everything is getting so expensive. So schools, to maintain a level budget, have to cut things, right? And sometimes we just can't cut things because it's not going to be safe or, whatever. But we have to keep cutting things. And then even with that, our budget is still, too high. And then the seniors are like, we can't afford to live here anymore. We're going to have to move. And where are we going to go? And it's just, we shouldn't be pitting students against seniors, right? And so we should flip that back to the way it used to be, where the local communities control their tax dollars. They get more of it, and they're just more in charge of it because we could afford.
Sure.
We could afford to fund our schools. And one of the gubernatorial candidates made this point the other night. They said we spent $5 billion on people here illegally, by some measures, calculating everything involved. And if we didn't do that, we could have sent $15 million to each town. And I was like, that just blew me away.
So who made the decision to spend it that way? And that's what
Right.
I said. I said, don't do it. Just don't rent it. Tell ICE they're illegals. They're your responsibilities. Go put them in your detention centers, that kind of thing. We only have about a minute. So let me ask you, what makes you the better choice for voters who are frustrated and disengaged or feel like nobody on Beacon Hill is listening?
My district is winnable by a conservative. I'm going to work very hard to get in there. I'm going to represent values of freedom, transparency, fiscal responsibility, and that will have ripple effects down everything else to what we care about. So I'm just going to be working hard in there. I'm not going to be a rubber stamper like the current representative just rubber stamps along with the Democrat supermajority, and we see the effect that that's having on our state.
Yeah, definition of rubber stamp. Yeah. Well done. Roll your website and where can people find you, next event, that type of thing before we get to wrap up.
Oh yeah, great point. So Lisa Mair, MAIR 4MA.com. And come to my kickoff in Clinton at Coffeelands on Wednesday, the 18th, 6 to 8 p.m. I would love to meet you.
All right. Thank you for coming in. All right,
Thanks for
folks,
having
that
me.
will wrap up the Thursday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. Not in on Friday. The Cobb brothers will be there. But tune in 1 o'clock tomorrow. And, of course, follow me at Joe Mangi Show. Joe out, guys. Have a good day.
This is WCRN, Worcester.
Fox News,